This should get me in the front door at least. Looks like I'll need to check in with those guards by the gate.
With the short-lived era of Dishonored coming to a close, the Brigmore Witches aims to not only leave fans with a fine aftertaste, but bring total closure to Daud's story arc. Introduction to the high-profile assassin came courtesy of Dishonored. Meanwhile, the Knife of Dunwall mission pack established his own unique perspective of the game's universe, following a story that ran parallel to Corvo's and focused on Daud's own grievances with a mysterious figure named Delilah. Though I could probably weasel through this review free of the Knife of Dunwall spoilers, I'm not going to bother, because you really should be jumping into the Brigmore Witches without playing the first half prior. So, with that in mind, if you're yet to play the Knife of Dunwall, please, go watch that review instead.
I thought I was finished. They'll never believe who saved me.
The Brigmore Witches picks up immediately after the Knife of Dunwall's end, Daud given a clear objective, that being to hunt down the witch known as Delilah at her coven and bring an end to her menace. Getting there won't be an easy task, however, as the coven is located far downstream, and Daud's boat contact, a high-ranking member of the Eels gang, has been taken prisoner at Coldridge Prison. While the Knife of Dunwall establishes Daud and Delilah's rivalry, the Brigmore Witches pushes the narrative a fair bit harder. As Daud has a singular objective in mind, her death, this gives the course of 3 or so missions a more climatic and confrontational atmosphere.
I owe you for this one, Delilah.
It starts off simple enough, Daud reminiscing on prior events with his band of assassins before being whisked away to Coldridge Prison to break out his contact. With this short introduction, the first thing you'll notice is how attuned the Brigmore Witches is to events of both the main campaign and the Knife of Dunwall, the guards in Coldridge Prison well aware of Corvo's earlier escape, having made the necessary steps to lock down security, and decisions made in the last DLC shaping the ambient dialogue as well as minor mission variables. The Brigmore Witches isn't a standalone sequel, but instead takes your save data, including mission outcomes and chaos level, and imports them directly into this new questline. Yes, if you saved or helped a character in Daud's first outing, odds are they'll make themselves known here, leading to a brilliant sense of continuity and cohesion between the 2 DLC chapters. Mission construction follows the same Dishonored blueprint with the Knife of Dunwall's additions, allowing for that painted and diverse application of skills and powers for either lethal or non-lethal approaches, though it really shines with some of the more creative variations to both. For example, by purchasing a pre-mission favour, Corvo can disguise himself as an overseer for the Coldridge Prison infiltration, and in the same mission attempt to prevent the execution of several Corvo Watch soldiers to see what information they may give up. Though assassination is still the prime objective for 2 of the 3 missions, the Brigmore Witches has some of the more interesting non-lethal approaches that require a bit of careful investigation and exploring. Also impressive is how large each of the missions are, particularly in areas to explore and ways to expand the mission formula. The aforementioned guard execution is one example, but both the second and third mission retain this design philosophy of level areas not being arbitrarily restricted to the main objective. Those who like to wander off course will be pleasantly surprised at how attentive the designers have been to explorative playstyles. Equally impressive is the new mechanisms that the Brigmore Witches brings to the formula. The Knife of Dunwall already took the time to introduce new weapons and enemy types, and though it would have been very easy to simply run with these ideas for this mission pack, Arcane has again thrown new elements into the mix. Daud can purchase an alternate choke dust upgrade that replaces the stun properties with Forgetfulness, which is perfect for non-lethal players, and the newly introduced pull ability calls upon your inner Star Wars nerd to drag closely items and enemies from afar for acquisition or assassination. Just as with Dishonored and the Knife of Dunwall, lethal players will once again find themselves grossly overpowered, to the point of hilarity. But at least the new powers and abilities do add some diversity to your tools of murder. And even so, later missions abandon the usual thugs and grunts for a new witch-type enemy, each possessing a number of arcane powers derived from Delilah, not unlike Daud's own assassins do from him. Just as Corvo faced Daud's power-enhanced assassins in his story, so too must Daud confront similarly supernaturally enhanced opponents that put up a greater challenge than the norm. The Brigmore Witches does bear a similar stigma to the Knife of Dunwall, that being one half of a 2-part story, and a direct continuation. If you've made it this far into the review and still haven't touched the Knife of Dunwall, you really will have to. For as good as it is, it's very hard to recommend the Brigmore Witches as standalone. You will need to play both, which also means you'll pony up about $25 to do so, less if you can nab a deal. Though the entry price for the complete package may seem a little on the high side, let it be known that the combination of the Knife of Dunwall and the Brigmore Witches makes for one of the most respectable and highly valued DLC campaigns of this shortly closing generation of games, and I really, truly believe this. Arcane has gone above and beyond with this series of missions to ensure they don't tediously retread or reuse an absurd amount of content from the base game, but instead routinely introduce new ideas, locations, enemies, and mechanisms across an exceptionally well-constructed and focused narrative arc concerning one of the series' most iconic characters. Together, the two DLC make up an old-school 90s era PC expansion pack worth of content and value, and, like many expansion packs from that era, may even prove for some fans to be a preferable experience to the main game. Along with the Knife of Dunwall, the Brigmore Witches is absolutely essential killing and or sneaking for anybody who got a kick out of the main game, a brilliant send-off to both Daud and the Corvo story arcs, and an exciting beacon of promise from Arcane for the future of Dishonored. For these reasons, the Brigmore Witches earns a well-deserved 4 out of 5 stars from me. For more news and reviews, please visit rocketchainsaw.com.au.
They fought a brave fight. Idiots. Maybe their deaths will teach the living.
The Abbey never changes.